Hey everybody, happy Saturday, happy weekend. I hope y'all getting some rest. But I wanted to go ahead and post this Love is Blind after the altar, moving on and moving in, season 4, episode 14, and I'm gonna do episode 15. Um, I'll just do these together because they go back to back, and honestly, a lot of this was underwhelming. Maybe it's because we didn't have as many breakups and breakdowns as season 3 had. I would say that's a good thing, but not really for reality TV. Okay, so Marshall and his new girlfriend Shay, and then Tiffany and Brett meet up at what looked like a coffee shop, but apparently is a coffee shop slash arcade slash duffel board slash a spot where you have wings and beer. I don't know. Anyway, so apparently Marshall met this girl on July 1st, and he said on July 15th he officially asked her to be his girlfriend, and they've been rocking ever since. Okay, Marshall. Okay, Marshall. So he says she's perfect and she's the opposite of him and she is the yin to his yang. And I'm like, Marshall, Jackie was your opposite and you said she was perfect too, and you say the same thing about every woman you meet. That's how it's feeling, that's how it's looking, okay? So he is dating a woman who is a doctor. That's a come up. It's a come up for him. That's a good catch, okay? And then we in a damn arcade slash coffee shop slash wing shop, whatever the fuck it was. And them damn gold cups. I'm sorry, I do not like them things. Them things are cheap and they are I can tell. I can almost feel a lead around the mouth part. Where are the straws? Anyway, so they had a real black date though. They were doing duffel board and like basically admitting that they didn't really know how to play. And then they went to go get chicken wings, and I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I don't like going nowhere when we supposed to eat and all you have is fucking cheese plates. Okay. Anyway, so Marshall is so stuck. Um, on the woman he's with as usual because we done seen this before. She doesn't seem as into him, and the only reason why I say that, and granted, she's not on the show, and she may have been uncomfortable around the cameras, but she kept shifting toward the camera, so it's almost like you could see her face, and I was just kind of like, but like a model turn. And I was like, okay, girl, do your thing. So Marshall asked Brett. He was like, they were talking about the fantasy football thing, and so Marshall was like, is it confirmed if, Jackie and Josh are coming? And Brett was like, and he goes, who's all gonna be there? And Marshall, you are me. Cause I am a firm person on that. Tell me who the fuck is gonna be there. Don't invite nobody at the last minute. I wanna know who all is coming. If it's not me and you and your boyfriend, your girlfriend, that I know. Okay? If any additional people show up, I'm not here for it. I probably won't come ever again if I even stay. Okay? Marshall, I was feeling you on that. And then we get Shelby and Micah. I had forgotten about Shelby because I wanted to forget about her. All right, so I'm convinced some women just stay friends out of habit. Okay? Shelby was a little too gung ho throughout the season on ruining her relationship, Micah and Paul's relationship. Now, granted, I don't think that shit was gonna last. I don't think either one of them were ready to get married. But there is such a thing as limits in terms of giving your advice, giving your perspective, and what seemed to be obvious to me, Shelby taking joy in seeing Micah hurt. Okay? And her willingness in front of the camera with Micah and in separate interviews to down her decision to get married. It just gave me, I'm a hater, and she couldn't be my friend. She could not. Okay? And honestly, Micah, she's not your friend. And something makes me think they got drunk one night and screwed, and Shelby has wanted her ever since. I don't care that Shelby has a boyfriend that she's been with for years, whatever. But that's just me. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's what I think. All right, so once again, they're looking for flowers or whatever. And Shelby brings up her wedding, making fun of the flowers she's looking at or whatever. And I'm like, see, here we go. Here we go with things that seem like a subtle dig, and it's really a hating ass dig. So they go and sit down at some like picnic lunch thing, but because the ambiance in Seattle seems to be very nice, they sit down and talk, and Irina shows up. I knew somebody named Irina, and it's spelled the same way. That's why I have to stop. And this shit was so forced. It was so forced. So Micah picked up some flowers for her own mother, which is her business, and Rena asked her if her mom liked those colors. And I was like, duh, bitch. Why would she not get her mother flowers of a color that she liked? And it just seemed like to me it was still that mean girl shit. It just seemed like she was trying to imply that she thought they were ugly because she's a bitch. That's just what Irina does. Then Irina goes, "Oh, the flowers remind me of Bliss. Remember all that purple she would wear, bitch." You first of all, what you were trying to create was a conversation where you could shit on her, um, and you are really cruising for a bruising at this point. All right, so Irina was like claiming she was doing some self healing, this, that, and the other. Bitch, no, you're not. You just haven't found somebody to fuck on a regular basis. She talks to the girls about Paul, and I mean Micah. She said, it's confusing because he continues to talk to her for advice, calls her or whatever. And, she was like, and I found that he's like dating or talking to somebody else. She was like, and it's disrespectful. She was like, not only to me, but to her, whoever this other girl is. And I can respect that and her acknowledgement of that. But Micah is over it, or so she says. They're still in their 20s or early 30s, at least for Paul, maybe. But they have plenty of time. And all of them had on too much makeup. Just too much, too much. All right, so we get Jackie and Cassia from the Pod Squad. I didn't realize that was going to be later, the Powder Puff, flag football, whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, that's what we called it down south, Powder Puff. All right, so anyway, so I don't really remember Cassia, so whatever. Jackie made friends with 3 other girls in the pods that she remained friends with, I said, which is nice. Although I don't see myself remaining so tight and so close to people just because we were in close quarters together and our phones and stuff were gone. But anyway, that could be a bonding experience. So they're going to the flag football game. And they're talking, and she asked, well, have you talked to Marshall at all since, the stuff that went down on the internet reunion? And Jackie was like, no, Marshall's blocked. Jackie is so mean and so funny. But she's not like mean girl funny. Like, she's not like a mean girl, but she reminds me of me. Like, little shit I would say and do. And so did Cassia. Cassia was like, I blocked Marshall too. She said he kept apologizing. She said, but I don't care. He's just one of those people. She was like, we broke up. She was like, we dated briefly after the show. And Cassia did not like the fact that he brought up her name on TV. And I can imagine if you didn't make it to the engagement stage and you were part of that show, how embarrassing that could be to be just brought up, kind of thrown out in an argument. But unfortunately, I think that's just one of the unfortunate experiences of reality TV. Like, it is what it is. And for him to say we only went out once, she was like, I did reach out to him after I saw that y'all had broken up because I wanted to check in. She said, because I knew how it felt. I knew how it felt to know somebody in the pods, to be disappointed, whatever. And he was like, we only went out once. And she was like, it was definitely more than one date though. And Marshall, I knew you were full of it. You say the same thing about every girl you meet. She's the one. She's the yin or yang. I can feel it. I mean, who would have known there was so much drama in Seattle? Like it was the LBC. Anyway, Amber and Bliss meet up. Bliss, you bore me. You really bore me. Okay, so Amber, we know she's a flight attendant, so she's always busy flying. They said she found a guy. Bliss continues to bore me. Amber was with Bliss. Apparently, Paul and Amber have seen each other in multiple places in Seattle because they live in the same city. But she was like, he always avoids me. I told y'all he was a fuckboy. Moving on, Chelsea and Kwame meet up with Chelsea's family. And we remember Chelsea's family from the time before. I remember now, it's all coming together. Her birthday and her wedding anniversary coincide. I don't know if I would like that. I would hate to get cheated out of a bunch of gifts. But it is what it is. So Kwame tells the story about how he was raised by his uncle until he was 8 years old, which I didn't know or didn't realize. And they came to the States. And so they're basically explaining the story of how he first gets experiences that Nigerian dish his mother made. I want to say jollofs or something like that. And his family came to support him. at this anniversary slash birthday party for Chelsea. His mom, who left him for 8 years, which is not uncommon with people who immigrate to a country to establish a life and then go back and get it. It's not uncommon. But nevertheless, I feel like for his mom to have left him for 8 years and then have a beef with Chelsea for marrying her son, honestly, she should be making up for that loss of time in Kwame's life. And I feel like she's almost mad at Chelsea for now being in a space in his life that he chose to have Chelsea in, whether you like it, whether we like it, whether we believe it or not. Um, and that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. She eventually met his mom, and she said after she met her, she wrote her an emotional card. And his sister Barbara gave it to her or whatever. And they said the mother spent some time in the room reading it. And it seems like it was like an emotional time, but their relationship still seemed finicky. And it seems like Chelsea is kind of trying to do her best to develop a relationship with his mother because she's with Kwame, and I can respect and appreciate that. But it also seems like this woman is just not willing to give her a chance. And I feel like if they did live on the East Coast closer to his family, this relationship would have ended sooner. I think it's easier when you're in Washington and maybe his family's like in New York. Just that's just me. So Jackie and Josh moving in the same apartment. I know a lot of people do this, and if you're watching this and you're one of those people who do live with a partner, that's your business. But I'm just about to tell you what how I roll. When I move, okay, I'm single, so I do everything that I have to do. Pack my stuff. I don't believe in having movers pack your stuff. Maybe one day, but I just feel like because it's not their stuff, they're not gonna give a fuck about it. I'm already have to pay you to move the shit, and you know how movers go. But anyway, I do everything because I'm by myself. I do not want a man, okay? And I certainly don't want a man in a relationship with me that has me carrying boxes. Now, granted, I don't know if those boxes were lightweight or whatever. I need a man to act like a man. Now, I will get some pillows or something like that out the car, but that's about it. Do your thing. I'll get you some water, but no. I just don't. And those damn gold cups that made their way into their apartment, I said, well, I'll be motherfucked. Okay, so anyway, they have a place together with actually a very nice view. Like I said, there seems to be a lot of like good landscapage in Seattle. Now Josh is still talking about how he wants to take things slow, and they don't need a ring or a marriage certificate to prove anything. Anytime you are committed to one another in a relationship and you decide to move in together, you're not taking things slow. Then you need to find a roommate that you're not romantically involved with. Okay? And if that was the case, then what the fuck were you on this show for? Because you do realize that was the end game, right? Exactly. You wanted the attention. Okay. So moving in, you might as well be married. And that's why I don't believe in moving in with anybody. I just don't. I don't. Without being married, I just don't see the point. I like being able to go to my place when I'm mad at you. We having a disagreement, and I know I don't have to see you, and I didn't take no vows before God to deal with you. Oh no, I need to go back to my place and lock the door. Anyway, so Brett and Tiffany are in their like Verbo or whatever, setting up the Golden Gobs. I said lesson plan. It's probably not lesson plan. It's a game plan, whatever. Zach and Bliss are representing the Pod Squad. This shit could be more whack, but whatever. So Marshall and Zach, we get to the fantasy football game. Marshall and Zach both seem like they showed up to play, okay? And I can tell Marshall's competitive. So the idea that this will squash the beef between all these people that had romantic entanglement, shout out to Jada Pinkett, romantic entanglements, is a joke, okay? And it's stupid. Good morning, New York. Okay, why didn't they have a snow ski getaway or a big party downtown, which they eventually do? like in the previous seasons, because this just seems like where are we going with this dumbass game? So Chelsea and Kwame just don't seem real to me. I can't say that enough. She always seems to force their connection. Like she's always like forced kissing him in the confessional, and he's just kind of like, I guess, like it just I don't know. So Zach's talking to Brett, and he's concerned about the gender dynamics. And Brett was like, "Well, we can have 5 people on the field." And he was like, "Well, no, I think there should be 3 girls against 3 girls, 3 boys against 3 boys." And he was like, "Well, we have gender dynamics. We have the equal number of guys and girls on each team, right?" And he was like, "So 5 people should be good." And Zach is concerned. I understand Zach's point, which is why this fantasy football game is whack, but also dangerous. And it's whack because, Zach, this was your fucking idea. Okay? You could have stopped all of this. And it is kind of dangerous, if a guy decides, he's just so competitive, boom, Chelsea in the face, boom, Jackie in the face, like anybody can get hurt. But Brett's so even keel, I can also see how he could like not be fazed by it. Anyway, but I do appreciate the thought that maybe men and women should not be playing each other. It's not fucking Uno or poker, okay? Whatever. So that's where we get the end of that. And then we get episode 16, settling the score. We pick up with the fantasy football game. So Marshall was clearly playing for keeps. But anytime somebody was in the military, let me tell you something, they already know how to compete. And I don't think they ever get to a point where they can just play a game or something where it involves sport athleticism and they are not like playing to win. I just don't see that. Amber decides she's gonna walk over and talk to Paul, even though he has been like paying her dust. Okay, even when they live in the same city, she decides she's gonna go to him on camera. I guess to embarrass herself a little bit more. Whatever. And she's asking him like, "Well, where do you live in the city or whatever?" She said, "I saw that you posted something about moving to San Diego." Now we already know she said she was going to San Diego to visit her boo in the scene before or whatever. Amber, why are you still following him to see his post? Maybe that would help you heal and not be so bothered every time you see him in public. Because he's a fuckboy anyway. But that's just me. You should have been like Jackie and just block Marshall. Look, I need to move on. All right, so Amber was like, "Well, I'm actually moving out there." And just so you know, it was my idea first. And she was like, "So why do you want to move to San Diego?" And he was just like, "Because of the sun." And I'm like, people always say that. And I'm like, California fucking sucks. It is like the most racist place I have ever been. Okay. And I grew up in Georgia. Okay. And the difference is, I'm not saying that one form of racism is better than the other. I'm not into that. But what I am saying is, at least people in the deep south fucking know who the fuck they are. I'm more offended by this condescending racism that, I voted for Barack Obama. And it's not my fault that I took up space at Stanford and UC Berkeley and UCLA. And even though I know I don't deserve to be here, I'm going to do everything in my power to make black people uncomfortable. I'm going to still support the police. Get the fuck up out of here. Anyway, Cali sucks. But that's just me. But that's another story. So he says, she basically brought the fact that he plays it to the left every time they're in public. And she brings up like how he ignores her. And he was like, "Look, I just don't want to get caught in the trap." And he was like, "How we saw those pictures and I had my arm around." But she was like, "What trap? This and the other." He's a fuckboy, Amber. You dodged a bullet. See how he embarrassed Micah and basically came for her womanhood and talked about how she wasn't nurturing this and the other, but didn't tell her? Let it go. Let it go. Or at least, even if you're having trouble letting it go, don't do it on camera. Don't. So Bliss and Chelsea came to get those bitches, and you can tell. All right? They have not forgotten. Notice how Bliss and Irina did not have a conversation on camera, because it didn't happen. Because if it would have, they would have showed us. All right. So Tiffany is super competitive, and I love it. She was killing it. And then Chelsea got in trouble for cheering for Tiffany. And Kwame was like, what the hell are you cheering for her for? You do her IG. She was like, "Because I love her." Gosh, be quiet. So Chelsea and Micah sit down and talk. Because remember, Kwame basically picked Chelsea second to Micah. And Micah was like, "You guys are really cute." Honestly, Chelsea, I wouldn't talk to that bitch. And it's because Micah is a mean girl, and then Micah was flirting with your man when they were in Mexico in front of Paul and all this other stuff. Like Micah's a mean girl. But she asked her about living in Arizona, and Micah was like, "Well, I moved back to Seattle," and Chelsea was like, "I don't think your person is in Seattle." I was like, "Chelsea, what is this based on?" She was like, "Really?" After she admitted that it was hard to date in Arizona, she was like, "I just don't." And then Michael was like, "Well, where do you think my person is? Like, because I want to know." She was like, "Probably somewhere like Brazil." I said, if that wasn't a bitch, get the fuck out of here and stay away from Kwame, I don't know what was, but she was very classy about it because Micah seemed to not get it. Anyway, but they hugged it out, and we know that's fake because Chelsea is not here for her. So why was Shelby playing? She was not part of the cast. What the fuck? All right, so the pod squad won. We don't care. Then they decided they're going to a party. We could have done without this dumbass fantasy football game. They were grasping at straws. So they had the flag football party get together. That food, once again, was real white. Just like I told you, Brett and Tiffany, Marshall, and Shay's date was real black with the wings. This was real white. Nothing is more disappointing to me than going to a restaurant for a meal, particularly with coworkers often. And they all, because I typically am like one of a few black people wherever I work, which is the case for a lot of us. And they order things like cheese plates and sandwich meat with no bread, just crackers, not sandwiches, and you're just like, and that's why I can't drink because I don't have anything to absorb this. But anyway, so Marshall brought his homeboy to the party as opposed to Shay. Now at first I was like, but honestly, that was the best I think idea, and I think that was the most respectful thing to do because honestly, you don't know how crazy these situations are going to get on reality TV. And if it was going to get crazy, it could possibly hurt her career as a doctor, um, and her job by being on TV on a show she didn't really sign up for. So I think it was a better move, and I actually think Marshall, he's pretty calculated. He's pretty smart. So I think he did that on purpose, and I can respect that. So we get the moment we've been waiting for, or we thought we had been waiting for. And Marshall taps Jackie on the shoulder and just asks, "Can we sit down and talk?" And she agrees. She doesn't give him any pushback or anything. So he starts apologizing again, okay? And for pressuring her into a relationship. He took responsibility and apologized. And take note, whatever we may think about Marshall, I can appreciate him saying, "Look, I did this. I'm sorry. Straight no chaser." Okay? And Jackie responded very maturely. She was like, "Look, we're good." She apologized for hurting him. And they just explained that, look, they liked each other. They wished each other the best. They tried to squash it. And they did it maturely. They really did. Jackie is cool. And the reason why I like Jackie is because she's the kind of homegirl I feel like who will rock with you. Like you will call her up after a rough day and be like, look, there's just a lot going on. Can you go to happy hour? No questions asked. I feel like Jackie will meet you wherever you tell her to meet you and drink with you and have your back on a Thursday night. Like, period. So at the party, they decided when they're showing like little different shots of things, people decided they were going to do the Marshall facial expressions challenge, and that shit was funny because it was almost like everybody had studied Marshall's face, because those memes were everything, and the fact that people were able to do it just like that made it even funnier. So we start getting these like individual sit downs with people that had beef. So Irina checks in with Amber. So she was like, "Look, I wanted to apologize for laughing at you when you were crying when you got hurt by Paul." Because looking back on it, I really realized that you were really hurt, and I could just hear you crying. I couldn't really see you or whatever. They showed the flashback, and I got mad. I got mad for Amber all over again, and I remembered how mean her and Michael were to other girls in the pods. Both of them were bitches. Amber was not even pretending for the camera. Amber was like, "I'm not losing sleep over you, but you knew exactly what you were doing when you did it. Both of you knew what you were doing. You knew I was crying, you knew I was hurt, and you thought it was funny." And I was like, "You know what, Amber? Yes, I just wish she would have had the same energy for Paul. But Irina deserved every bit of it and worse. And she just said, I don't hate you. And when somebody says, I don't hate you means I don't like you and I'll never fuck with you again. But I'm also just not going around thinking about this in my daily life. But when somebody says, I don't hate you, and that's the best they can do, just go ahead and get out their way. Then we get Micah and Paul's check-in, which was also weird again. So Micah sits down with him, and she's talking about how he keeps the door open and cracked, which is a sign of fucking immaturity, which is a sign of a cheater, which is a sign of somebody who doesn't know what they want, which is also why neither one of them had any business getting married. So good that it didn't work out. So she says she is confused by his behavior, which is purposeful on his part. He's texting her, but he's seeing another person and she knows it. The lesson, like I said, neither one of them were ready for a serious relationship or a marriage. Think about the fact that Paul is just like, oh, I'm moving to San Diego because I want sun. Huh? What kind of adult decision is that anyway? Neither one of them treat people well. Neither one of them. So Michael was like, I like you, but I'm not ready to be friends in order to move forward. That's real. Because this whole pretending like you're friends is a way, particularly of narcissists. I'm not saying he is one, but there are a lot of male narcissists in our society. Of saying, I want to be friends, so I still have access to you and can kind of play and manipulate you. Girl, just block his number and move on. All right. So he was like, it's fucking weird to do that. Like for us just not to be friends and not to talk. And I was like, no, it's weird that y'all are still talking at all. You left her at the altar and then critiqued her womanhood. Like, bruh. So Chelsea, see, there are times when Chelsea gets somebody else that crying, but I also like Chelsea because Chelsea has always been that one, even when they were in the pods, like she checked Irina, she checked Micah about their cattiness and what they were doing that was hurtful to other people. And Chelsea keeps it real, but Chelsea was so drunk when she was talking about healing her inner child. And yeah, my therapist had a baby doll in her back seat that she pretended that was her baby to heal her inner child. And then I asked about Popsicle. I was like, what? She was lit. She was lit. Okay, so apparently Monica is coming. I said, who the fuck is Monica? Am I the only one that didn't remember or know or have any memory of seeing this? Maybe this is the first time they showed it, but they didn't say first time footage. But I swear, I had never seen it. Okay, so I didn't know Josh and Monica even had a thing like that. Apparently, Josh and Monica were engaged. They didn't show this on the show originally, right? Because I really have no memory of this. Like, none. So Jackie finds out and was like, look, I have to go. When Cassia tells her that Monica is coming. And she was like, you don't have to go. It's not going to be bad. And Jackie was like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And she was like, Josh is going to be mad. We have to leave. Like, so she literally gets up from Cassia, who she's kicking it with, like, and goes straight over to Josh, not to just warn him, but to straight up leave. So apparently Jackie and Monica were really close. And clearly Jackie really thought Monica was her friend. Like I said, I don't understand how you spend 2 weeks in the pods with people and you feel like people are your sister, so on and so forth. But once again, I've never had this experience. So maybe, like, it's just forced bonding or whatever. So Monica apparently accepted the engagement from Zach, agreed to marry him. And after she met him, like when they come through the walls or whatever, and they were showing all of this footage, and I was like, damn, he really is corny. Like, he's fucking corny as fuck. But like corny, like in an immature way, like a 14-year-old brain kind of way. So anyway, Monica shows up and she runs the issue by Brett and Tiffany. And was like, well, I think they don't want me to talk about it. They don't want me to bring it up that me and Josh had a thing. So I'm here to bring it up. Okay, so that came off as messy. Now, Tiffany was the one really talkative and was like, well, look, maybe you should go over there and talk to him, this, that, and the other. Brett was quiet. And that's how I knew. One, because I don't think Brett wanted to be in women's business, but I don't think he wanted to be bothered with this fuck shit anyway, right? So then we get the story. So Jackie claims that Monica has been talking shit to the blogs and on TikTok. And I'm like, I didn't know any of this shit. Hell, I didn't even know this girl's name. Okay, she barely looks familiar. Okay, because there was so many people in there, and she wasn't one of the main people at, Okay. So Jackie seemed more bothered, honestly, than Monica was about Monica being at the party. Okay? Now, Jackie said she loved Monica hard as a friend, and she was really hurt by what she did. And Monica was like, I really don't understand why you're so mad about this. And she was like, because I really want our friendship to work. Like, she was like, we were really close. So Monica was like, I have the right to tell my story. And Jackie was like, you do have the right to tell your story, but I felt like the way you did it was messy and shady, in terms of the way you did it with blogs and TikToks and this, that, and the other. And I was like, first of all, this entire show sets you up for the biggest read ever. You get married to somebody you've never seen. You get married to somebody that you are talking to through pods about themselves, so on and so forth. But you also don't have regular access to your own individual laptops or technology and shit. So all you have to do is be engrossed in these people. So it's, the whole thing sets you up to be read by the public later on. So, I mean, it's impossible for people really not to be shady and messy at some point. So I think the problem is that the problem for me was with this sit down was that Jackie was doing the talking for Josh, and Josh should have done it and expressed himself to Monica in the same way that it seemed like Josh gave Jackie the space to go over there and talk to Marshall. Okay? But then again, once he showed up, maybe not. Okay, so apparently Jackie said they can't be friends again. And Jackie was crying. Jackie really did seem hurt. And I think she was hurting. Honestly, they must have been close, but they only knew each other in the pods. That's all I could keep thinking. But okay. And honestly, I just think it's weird to be friends with the girl that was engaged to my boyfriend. My now living boyfriend. And I know we wish we could all be mature. And people try to say, well, that was in the past. Like, fuck that shit. No. And just like Jackie said, I'm going to take my man's side no matter what, whether he's right or wrong, particularly in public, against anybody. And I totally understand that. And people can say it's a toxic way of approaching stuff, but I do think you need a united front. The last thing I want is my partner always, trying to be the reasonable one in front of everybody and make me look. Excessive. I know that sounds toxic and messed up, but I get it. I understand, girl. Anyway, but the whole thing is weird. I think because, Monica, I don't know who the fuck you are. Josh is still a minor character as far as I'm concerned. So Monica goes, look, I want to talk to Josh. She said, but I want to talk to Josh while you're sitting here because I'm not comfortable talking to Josh by himself, which I can understand. And I think that's a sign of respect that she had clearly for Jackie, not Josh. So Monica was clear, she says, with the cases, what Jackie told her, look, this is how I feel about it. I'm over it. Josh, all of a sudden, gets this. I mean, like, he blows up. And it was immediate. And Josh was like, you don't accuse her of clout chasing, and you were just trying to expose me, this, that, and the other. First of all, Josh, you don't have clout for anybody to chase. So let's begin there. Two, I don't even know what blogs would even pick Monica up. I don't know who was that into this show that would follow that, but it can't be that many people. And you must have been also looking her up to even know this shit. Like, let's just be real. Okay, let's just be real. And Jackie rips off the mic and she walks out. She was like, I'm ready to go. I'm going to take his side, this, that, and the other. And they're arguing. And then Monica is like, Jackie, I don't even know how you deal with this. He's a 6-year-old. And I was like, the way he was acting was immature, but Jackie is kind of immature too. But honestly, Jackie, what would have bothered me was the fact that this is a guy I've been with for a year now. We have moved in together. And he is that bothered by this woman who he was engaged to, whether we think this shit is fake or not, who he was engaged to. It got cut off, clearly, because Monica said, I'm engaged to a lunatic, by her, and he's still tripping on that a year later. That says to me, he's not over it for whatever reason, but that would make me feel disrespected in a relationship with him that he was that caught up. Period. Okay? So, because honestly, we can say what we want to say about Marshall. Marshall could apologize to Jackie, clear, cut. It's good to see you. Go back out and cut a rug. He has a doctor. He has Shay. He has a girl that apparently likes him, and he likes her. He didn't have to do that. And I thought this was gonna be the showdown of the showdowns, and it wasn't. So Josh seemed a bit too bothered. I say that to say Josh was too bothered for me. Okay, and I think Jackie and Marshall were much more involved. Much more involved. Okay, I think Jackie knew it too, which was why she tried to get him out of the restaurant before Monica was there. Insecure much? I think so. I think so, because I know this can't be the first time he had mentioned this, and I don't think she wanted to be on TV with a woman that bothered her man that much, because it's embarrassing. Which is also a reason why he probably shouldn't be your man, girl. No, Monica, y'all can't be friends with that much tension. Forget it. And who would have thought that all the drama was going to be between Josh and Monica? Monica, bitch, who are you? And not Marshall and Jackie. So then Josh goes up like a bitch, telling Chelsea about, yeah, she's clout chasing. Let me tell you something. Chelsea wasn't that drunk, or either it was the way the edit was done. She was like, no. Don't accuse her of clout chasing. Don't do that to anybody. Just go on and live your life. Go be with your girl and be happy. He follows her out. They both leave. Jackie turns around and tells production, I don't feel like doing this. And I'm glad they left. I didn't miss nothing. Marshall got the party going, said we doing the electric stuff, but he was giving directions. Left, right. Like, look, let me get everybody on the right page, because everybody in here ain't black. So him and Tiffany were getting it. They held it together. You go, Marshall. You know, Marshall, even though sometimes I'll be looking at you sideways, I'm gonna give it to you, because you deserve your credit for, keeping yourself together. So apparently no divorces or breakups after this. Because remember season 3, everything came with a caveat. They decided to divorce. Their friends were working it out. None of that we saw. So apparently the ones that are married are still married. At least Chelsea will be, until she becomes the kind of model she's looking to be. Anyway, so no divorces or breakups after this. That's what we know of. So there's another season coming. And that's all I got for y'all. So anyway, y'all have a happy Saturday. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.